adopted next Tuesday, we're not going to go out there Wednesday and say it needs to go to 30 feet.
Same thing with the decimal road. It's already in place. The decimal road is
Right, it would typically kick in the next time they go to drill a well, or amend their permit, or add wells, or things like that. On dust control, this has really been a big issue, especially for those pad sites that are immediately adjacent to residential housing. We've had a couple, Corn Valley site and a couple on the peninsula have been especially troublesome. And we had a system whereby the companies could get waivers on doing any dust control. We're proposing that basically they need to do dust control, and that involves at a minimum an annual application of some kind of binding agent on the pad site. In addition to that, if you've seen the pad sites, while they're active, traffic in and out is really excessive. There is a lot of trucks coming in and out on a daily basis to these pad sites. And so we've looked at different ways to try to control that dust, and we have settled that really the only way to control this dust is for these entry roads to be made of concrete per the requirements from engineering, which would have specifications of how these roads would need to be built. So we would expect that we would get some comments from the companies on this requirement, because it will be something new for them. Right now, really the entry roads are just crushed aggregate, and the dust, we've had complaints from citizens where you go out to their house and their cars and everything, can't hang laundry in the backyard, that kind of stuff, because everything's covered with dust. So, but we're trying to come up with ways to solve that. Again, it's a balance, trying to allow people to drill, but at the same time, people have a home, and we're trying to balance that. So we put this requirement. Frac fluids. Nationwide, the constituents that make up frac fluids has been very controversial. EPA has taken on the task of doing a study on the entire fracturing process to identify any potential negative impacts to the environment. We discussed internally requiring detailed constituents up front with the application. We have settled on a requirement now that if there is a release of fracture fluids to the environment, that at that time they would be required to provide us detailed information on actually what makes up the frac fluids on that particular site, because it is specific to pad sites. Different subcontractors use different formulas, and so if we're out chasing spills, things like that from a pad site, we're going to want to know what we're looking for. And so we feel that this requirement is justified. It's not an undue burden on the operator, because it's only going to kick in if they have a spill from their operation.
Thank you, Mayor. Jim, you rightly identified this as a hot button issue. And I guess that's the question I'm going to ask. A lot of people have been asking what kind of chemicals are being used. And you made the decision to just release that information if it's out into the environment. Why did you decide not to just release that information prior to the spill?
What we currently do is we require that they submit copies of all material safety data sheets for all the chemicals that they use on the pad site. And those are part of the emergency response plan which the fire department gets. Unfortunately, the rules and requirements for material safety data sheets allow people to put generic information on there. It might say solvent. It might say they're allowed to put like proprietary chemical, things like that. And so what we're looking at is if there is a spill, we're going to want to know what's in that solvent. Is it xylene? Is it benzene? Is it toluene? What is it? If it's a proprietary chemical, what is it? What chemical test data do you have that can show us so that if it reaches a creek, we know what we're looking for? Or if we have soil contamination, we know what we're looking for. We know what to test for. And so for us, it was a compromise. We've talked to industries about it, and obviously this is really a national issue. And so rather than kind of step right full into that issue, we decided to take the tack of basically if there is a release, they need to release that information to us.
And I understand you're taking a baby step toward that, but if you're saying exactly the reason you want to know is if you had a spill into the environment, wouldn't it be convenient to know ahead of time what you're dealing with?
It's always, I would say, it's always convenient. It's a judgment call that we made on this.
Simply about you don't want to.
We can live with the information after the fact. Security. Currently, we've got some language that came across in the ordinance that talks about if you're in drilling, no one's on the pad site, they have to have a security guard. It's been our experience that when they're drilling, everybody's there. They don't take a break for lunch and go anywhere when they're living on the pad site. And so there really is not currently any requirement for security. We had looked at requiring security cameras on the pad site. The big issue we had was down on the peninsula was that, like I mentioned before, there's lots of traffic in and out of these pad sites during these high activity times. And so what's happening is that even despite the best intentions of the operators, a lot of this traffic is generated by subcontractors. And quite frankly, a lot of them get paid by the load. And so we're having a really significant problem with, they're supposed to go, out to Lake Ridge and use the major roads. What we're finding is they're cutting through the neighborhoods. And it's really been a hot button issue for the folks down in like the Grand Peninsula, the Lagos, and areas like that. And so we looked at requiring some security cameras at the entrance to try to catch the people who are going in the wrong direction. We sat down with several of the operators. They didn't like the camera idea because then they got to maintain them and things like that. And so what we settled on after those discussions was a requirement that they have a certified peace officer on duty at the front gate, off duty, during the times that they have high traffic volume. So while they're drilling, while they're fracking, those kinds of things, they would have someone there to direct traffic, keep tabs, making sure that the semi doesn't turn left and go through the neighborhood, that it's following the traffic route that's approved by our transportation department. And so so we deleted out any requirement for cameras and went with actually having a physical person there that can monitor the actual situation and make sure they're supposed to turn right if they're turning right. And some of our pad sites are on very, very high traffic streets. Crystal Paradise comes to mind, which is on that curve where Great Southwest goes into Lake Ridge. And it became a really dangerous situation out there where we had semi-traffic backed up on that curve trying to get into the pad site and you have people heading south from I-20 on Gray Southwest, all of a sudden they come around the curve, and it goes from, 2 lanes to 1 lane with very little notice. And so we felt that in working with our transportation folks, we needed more attention to how the traffic gets in and out of these pad sites, and that's why we added this requirement.
Jim, in a case that was before the council a few months back for a waiver for location, someone brought a picture of a crack pond with a gate wide open. That's where what I thought we would be talking about when we talk about security. That was dangerous to me. And so are we going to address that sort of a situation under security, or are we going to address
We're going to handle that under fracture ponds.
somewhere else?
We're working our way there. Notifications. Citizens like to be informed of what's going on in their city. We have heard that loud and clear at our public meeting. We heard that loud and clear in the comments that were received. And so currently, homeowners associations within a mile are notified. We're proposing to extend it to 1 mile. Also, if there's a case that comes to City Council, we're proposing to extend the notification out to 1,000 feet. And these are notifications that are done by the operator as part of the application. In addition to that, we have found that there's other activities that are going on the pad sites that the city needs notification on. For instance, when they're going to do flow back and when the wells are actually put into production. So we've added those. We currently have requirements that they need to give us notice prior to drilling, prior to fracturing. And so obviously citizens call us expecting us to know everything that's going on those pad sites. So we're trying to at least have a minimum amount of information in-house so that we can provide that information to the citizens so that they know when a well is going to be flowed back or when a well is going to be into production. So those are the notification changes that were.
Councilman Freeman.
Jim, why don't we include,
Jim, why don't we include businesses as well as homeowners associations?
There really isn't any reason why we couldn't.
We have many of those.
Right. We just, what we use is the planning department's list of HOAs, and I think, again, this is something that has come from ordinances from the West, and I know that we have lots of PIDs. I think a lot of other cities may not have as many, and so I don't think it's been an issue for them, but there'd be no problem with us if the council desires to add PIDs. I'm sure our finance folks have a complete list of all the PIDs. And I know they overlap in areas, but we can have a problem with that.
I would suggest we consider that.
Mr. West, Chairman West.
Thank you, Mayor. And also to add to what Mr. Cummings said, Mr. Frigo, we have what is called the Heads Up program, where homeowners associations registered with the city to have their association noticed whenever there's a zoning activity. We also already include public improvement districts as a part of that program. So we have already woven in the PIDs into that same program with our gas well notification. So that is already been established at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, and I would ask that it be formally included.
Right, it's just not formally in the ordinance. So.